too late, because by the time you get to the agent, it's too late usually. So that makes sense. Yeah, well, that's really cool. And were you working, during the day, the standard nine, as we used to say, the 9 to 5, or did you do it at all different times? When did you do this call center work?
So this was a work and learn program through the blind school. So
Okay.
literally right after I graduated, I came back in the summer to do this program for, I think it was 6 weeks. And 6 weeks. I think it was 6 weeks. And I think it was 5 hours. So from Monday to Thursday? No, Monday to Friday, I think. And it was really good. I really enjoyed the program, and I loved my job coach. We still keep in contact. But it was a really fun and eye-opening experience, just helping people get food and get things that they needed for their household and children. So it was really eye-opening. And that's what Cyrus does in the book. He helps people,
And
gives them
it's
places to go.
really cool name. Have you done a lot of traveling overseas?
I have not, actually.
Oh,
I have not.
because you came up with a very interesting name that's heard a lot in England, Cyrus. Yeah, it's a name that is rarely heard in the States. So that's a really cool name, Cyrus. Yeah.
Yeah, I struggled a lot with trying to figure out a name for him. I didn't want anything. He's African American, and then Jenny, she's Caucasian. So I didn't want, you know, the name to be common, but I also didn't want it to be too uncommon, if you know what I mean. I don't want to say ghetto, but I didn't want it to be something insane, something hard to pronounce, or so I just wanted something that just rolled off the tongue in a sense, something that was easy
Yeah.
to spell but not too long.
Yeah, yeah. The
Yeah.
other, the other. I mean, there's a lot of cool names that we don't hear as much. Yeah, yeah. Cyrus is cool. Cyrus is a cool name. But then the other name that's really good is Solomon. I mean, that nobody names their child Solomon anymore, but it's a powerful name. hmm
Yeah.
Well, that is really interesting. So basically, where in the end, where is this particular book with Jenny and Cyrus? Where is this going? This particular thing.
So the series itself is based around the BDSM club, the Red Layer, and I
Okay,
based
now
the
what's
club.
what's this club that you've just mentioned?
Um, so BDSM stands for bondage, discipline, dominance and submission, and sadism and masochism. And it's all about the power exchange between a dominant and a submissive. There are many different aspects to BDSM, but though that's the most common, the dominant and submissive. And so the club is where people can explore this lifestyle freely, safely, and consensually, without judgment or ridicule, because it's not normal sexual practices. And it doesn't even have to be sexual, but it can be. And so the club, the Red Layer, it's something that I came up with. Um, I based the club in Columbus, Ohio, which is where I frequent. That's where Otterbein is. That's where the blind school is. And I love Columbus, so I decided to base it there. And the Red Layer is it's the name of the club, and that's what I chose to have a lot of my characters meet at.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. So interesting. So besides Jenny and Cyrus, the two main characters, who are some other interesting characters that you have created?
Okay, so this is the second book in the Red Layer series. The first book featured Dante and Cassidy, and Dante is blind, Cassidy is sighted, and they are also another pairing. And then I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the third book yet, but I know that it's going to feature the mistress of the club and some other person. So,
Excellent. Well, that's great. So, I think a lot of our viewers and listeners are, perhaps, creative and would like to learn more about publishing a book. So if you were to tell someone earlier, I told you and you at home how to publish a podcast or how to get into podcasting. How would you get into being an author? How do you actually go about getting your work published? It's quite a process, right?
yes. So I self-publish on Amazon, and right now I feel like that's the best way to go about it. Um, I have been in a lot of writer groups on Facebook, and not a lot of them are for the blind. There's one group that I'm a
Well, that's
part of
fine.
that is for blind writers and authors.
Cool. Oh, that's really,
Um,
and I speak very highly of Facebook groups, by the way. I've given this advice before and I'll give it again, that I think Facebook groups are really good for really anyone, because usually the people in a Facebook group join the group because they either want real facts or they truly want to help someone else. I find that
right.
they are really, really, really excellent. If it wasn't for the group that we're in, we wouldn't have come across each other in the group. I personally, I forget. Looking back, I forget what post you commented on. You probably liked one of these episodes along the way. I forget. But I have found that, yeah, people in groups are really, really, really kind. I mean, for me, I'm in a lot of groups about snakes and reptiles because I love snakes. But there are groups for
Snakes are
every.
cool.
That's an interesting response. Thank you. Um, thank you for your support. I'll make sure to add you to any group that involves snakes and the art of snake keeping. You're more than welcome to stop by. But no, most people don't think it's that great. But regardless, I think that that's really cool. So okay, so um, we're coming up. We have about 8 minutes today on the show today. So how does this publishing with Amazon deal work? So how does it work from A to Z basically?
So, um, at first, I've been okay. So I started writing when I was like 11. Um, I used to write songs, and I switched from writing songs to writing stories. So my first story that I wrote was when I was 13 or 14 or 12. And I didn't really like it now that I look back on it. And then the second story I actually just finished a while ago, but I just haven't done anything with it yet. It needs a lot of editing and tweaking. But I knew that I wanted to have my books out there for people to read. I just didn't know that I wanted to write erotica. And one day someone told me that sex sells. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try this out. And I've been reading a lot of erotic compilations, um, a lot of BDSM anthologies. A few of my favorite authors write those. So I was reading a lot of books like that. And so I decided I was going to try it for myself. And I did. And through those writing groups on Facebook, I networked and met a lot of people who were super helpful, super understanding about the fact that I'm blind and this is how I'm going to need things done.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
So I want to make a point here. I really like the way you phrase that. One of the things that you learn from Facebook groups is that you learn how to advocate for yourself. You learn, and I've learned that too. I admit I've learned how to approach people on Facebook, how to ask questions, and how to phrase things. It's not about with podcasting. It's absolutely true, and it's true in life in general. I think it's not about knowing how to ask questions. It's about knowing how to ask the right questions the right way at the right time. And you have to get those three things right at the same time to yield the right response. I mean, I've posted all sorts of things about this podcast. Who wants to be my next guest? But then I discovered that,
mhm,
well, to get someone to come on, I have to create urgency. So I said, who's coming on my show tomorrow? Oh, there's a person. There's a person. There's a person. So just saying the word tomorrow, that's a trigger for people because they think that that's going to be their only chance. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So all right. So you send in your work to Amazon, and now does it get like uploaded? Is there an app that does it? How does it work?
Well, usually, I want to back up for a bit. Usually, I have people that can help me format it, edit it, make it look nice and presentable as how a book
Mm-hmm.
would look
Right. Right.
visually. And then I have someone who helps me design a cover for the book. So then I take it to the Amazon website or the Kindle Direct Publishing website because it's on Kindle. And from there, you just kind of follow the prompts. Yes, you upload it to the website. They have you fill in all this information about the book, like the summary, title, what genre the book
Okay,
is.
so
And
it's very similar to creating a podcast. You upload a lot of that type of information so that they know what you're about, and then you send
yes,
it in. Okay, very similar
and
to
then
podcasting. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and then you upload your manuscript, you upload your cover, then you then you tell them like where the rights are. So if you don't have access to the book, like if it's not your book, then I don't think you can upload it. But if the book's
Well, why
yours, then
why
you
would
have
you?
those rights.
Well, why would you upload someone else's? I don't know. I guess
Right, right.
well, I mean, no, I mean, no, actually, I mean, people do. I mean, if you're helping a friend or working in a company that does
Hmm.
that, people do it
Yeah.
for each other constantly. But when they do it, they, fill out certain credentials to make it clear that, yeah, Aaron gave me permission to publish, book
Hmm.
X. I mean, they do that all the time. Um, and there's a company that I can recommend it off the air, but I don't think you need it, so I'm not going to make a big deal of recommending it. But there are because you're so good with Amazon. There's companies all over the world that help blind people to produce books. Um, so basically, we are coming to the close on another exciting episode of Aaron's Opinion, the podcast for blind people, where we talked about issues in the blindness community. If you would like to get in touch with me after this show to tell me that I'm some sort of a horrible person, that I have bad luck or something like that, or I have all these problems, you're more than welcome to send an email to aaronsopinion6@gmail.com. I'd be happy to talk to you. But let me just tell you, I'm only going to read your message if you send something nice, because that's what I do on Aaron's Opinion. You are more than welcome to follow the show on Twitter, and you are more than welcome to follow us on our Facebook page, Aaron's Opinion. And of course, as you know, you followed my YouTube channel. We're on YouTube. Just go on over to YouTube, Aaron's Opinion. It's a great place. Do you have a final message before I sign off and thank everybody?
Um, can I like
Uh,
shamelessly plug my
go,
my
go,
things?
go, quickly, please.
Okay.
Hard break. You have about a minute and a
So
half,
I
and
am
then
on.
the sentence. Go ahead.
Okay. So I have YouTube. My
Good.
YouTube is G Nikita. So it's GNAKITA. And on Amazon, you can find me under the pen name Kaylani Black,
Oh, that's cool.
Kelanie space Black. Yes, I
That's a
love
cool
my pen name
pseudonym.
so
That's
much.
cool. Kalani. That's a powerful name.
Kaylani.
Kaylani. Kaylani. That's good. That's good. Mm-hmm.
Then you can also find me on Twitter and Instagram under Kaylani Black as well. So that's it. I also have a website, KaylaniBlack.com.
Well,
So
that's the best part. Yeah, I think if you have a website, you can send people just to go, as she said, go to that website, and they would be able to find out more about you. Anyway,